What's up internet, Kevin here with TLD, bringing you my full review of Mass Effect 3 for the Xbox 360 and PS3. Now this game has been a long time coming, ever since the very first Mass Effect came out back in 2007, with the promise of a trilogy that would give players the ability to import decisions they made that would affect the entire series. Now that we finally have it, there has been some mixed reception from some of its fans, not for what the game is, but what they think it should have been. From a gameplay standpoint, Mass Effect 3 is a direct growth from the second, featuring much of the same core gameplay and a few enhancements and a number of new options. Players now have a more advanced cover control system allowing for easier navigation towards targets, and also now have a new strong melee attack that can make several enemies pretty easy to kill once the distance is closed. Alongside these new general options, all of Shepard's available classes as well as his teammates have one new power in addition to what was available in 2. A lot of these new abilities follow special rules separate from the usual, such as grenades that don't activate the global cooldown but require actual ammunition, or the Vanguard's Nova ability which allows them to use up their barrier for a powerful area of effect attack. All of these new powers are welcome additions and add new strategies to what was available in 2, but where we really see a difference now is in weapon variety. Back in Mass Effect 2 there were roughly 2 to 3 different weapons per category after DLC, whereas now in 3 we're hitting 4 or 5 choices before any DLC is even added in. And if someone were to make use of all the different special DLC options currently available, they can get as many as 11 different assault rifles to choose from. Each gun works and acts just different enough to offer an interesting choice to players, and on top of this, the game has brought back a revamped version of the weapon mod system, allowing players to customize their weapons with mods that fit their playstyle, like more ammo capacity, damage, or adding a scope. All of these additions together bring what I feel is one of the best combat experiences in the Mass Effect series, albeit noticeably easier from prior installments. Now, of course, this could just be due to the fact that you have so many more weapon options and powers, and the fact that you can import your Shepard data from the second game, keeping your same level, making you so much more powerful right from the start, but it does detract quite a bit from the game's difficulty, making it very easy. It just doesn't feel like it has quite the same level of challenge when you can clear whole rooms by yourself, even when playing on higher difficulties. Now, while the combat has seen an overall upgrade in Mass Effect 3, the narrative has taken somewhat of a downward turn. The game's opening is strong, and the major quest lines that you take part in act as powerful conclusions to the issues and events that were set up earlier in the series. Side quests have died down a lot this time around though, with only a few major ones which mostly serve as cameos for former squad mates, or as ways used to introduce the maps in multiplayer. A very large number of them now have been reduced to minor fetch quests, requiring Shepard to fly around space to find some random item to then give to a person on the Citadel, and cash it in for more money, experience, and a war effort score which basically determines how good of an ending you can get. This can get a little tedious, especially if you only want to enjoy the single player game, in which case you need to do pretty much every single side quest possible if you want to get a high enough war effort score for a good ending. Otherwise, you'll have to play a lot of multiplayer to make up for it. Now, this is helped out a bit by the fact that import data can contribute a lot of war effort score based on your prior actions, and there are a number of major events that can only end happily if you accomplish certain things back in Mass Effect 2 or even 1. Now, I don't want to give away any particular spoilers for the plot of the game, but one thing that must be said is that one of Mass Effect 3's greatest weaknesses is its ending. It just falls very flat on its face, especially after all the build-up for the past 5 years. Now, it's not the worst ending ever written, but it just feels really odd and out of place, and in my honest opinion, a little rushed compared to some of the plot details we saw in other games. It also signifies a very noticeable shift in the style of storyline that was present in the first 2 games when they had a different lead writer. Now, this ending alone doesn't ruin the overall experience of the Mass Effect series, but it is just a little disappointing for those of us that have been playing through each and every game, waiting for this moment. The narrative also takes a bit of a hit due to the cast of lead characters, with all the returning squad mates being more than welcome, but each of the new additions feeling very weak, whether due to uninteresting character backstory or development, or by having very unnecessary and odd subplots that add little to the game's overall experience. In addition to the game's single player, there is now a multiplayer component styled after a 4-player co-op horde mode. Players are able to pick from one of the 6 traditional player classes, each of which has 3 different race options that offer different ability sets. As players level up their online character, they can improve their abilities, as well as use credits to purchase random packages that add new character options, more guns and mods, and one-time use items like rocket launchers and medkits to help in tight situations. Matches themselves revolve around players taking down waves of enemies, as well as occasionally completing special objectives. It's surprisingly a lot of fun, albeit a much better experience with friends than with random teammates, and something any fan of the series should try out, even if you don't usually play online. online. And like I said earlier, it does also help out the single player game by increasing what's referred to as a galactic readiness score, which basically improves the effectiveness of all the war assets you accrue, making it much easier to get a better ending. Overall, Mass Effect 3 is a great third-person shooter with a fun balance of both guns and special power use. But when it comes to the narrative, it must be said that it is the weakest in the series. Now, it's not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination, and it deserves a playthrough, especially if you've stuck with the series so far. But I have to say that it is the shortest game in the series and the weakest in terms of narrative. And those of you that are big fans of the plotline may find yourselves just a little unsatisfied at the end. That's our review of Mass Effect 3 for the Xbox 360 and PS3. If you guys haven't gotten a chance yet, make sure to check out our latest vid, and if you want to be extra awesome, make sure to hit that like button, and I'll see you guys next time.